Welcome to the Connor Cherland podcast, where I, Connor Cherland, meet up with a musician, hear about what makes them tick, what kind of things they're bringing into their artwork today. And on today's podcast, we have Nick Carpenter from Medium Build. And Nick is an incredible guy, multi-instrumentalist from Atlanta, from Nashville, currently in Anchorage. And he and I have a great conversation. You'll hear us talk about worship leading as an evangelical Christian and how it's similar to leading an indie band and directing a concert the way you want it to emotionally go. We talk about quitting drinking. We also talk about what it means to make music that's authentically yours, even if it doesn't sound as polished. So please enjoy, I know that I did, please enjoy this interview with Nick Carpenter and his new song, Give Me Back My Soul. Enjoy. There are, I don't know if this happens to you, my dad all the time will just be hanging out and I'll be like, yeah, I saw this, something happen today. He goes, you know, there's a song in that. And rarely is there a song in that. But after hearing Rabbit, I feel like this tooth may eventually come back around.
Now that you've seen I can make a song out of anything.
Just out of things dying.
Yeah.
So
no, that's my dad too. My dad always is sending me lyric ideas, or he'll be like, I'll send you the first line, and he'll send me a song. And he's like, this, you write the rest.
Have any of them been helpful? Have you ever used one, even as a joke?
I maybe for like a minute, like trying to do it right there in front of him, but no, my parents, it's every line, everything, every joke we say at dinner, my mom's like, huh? New song? So no, not, I'm so finicky when it comes to writing. Like, it has to be in the moment, in the mood. Like I'm very, it either has to be assigned like fully, like someone has to be like, all right, I need you to write this song by next Wednesday about this.
Right. Or
completely ephemeral, chasing the moment. Like, yeah, I'm bad. I'll write down little inspiration ideas, but then I'll rarely will I circle back to them until years later sometimes. So I don't know.
Sure. It sounds like you have a good relationship with your family.
Yeah, I think so.
Great. Did they introduce you to music? In some interviews, it talked about you getting started in church, writing songs and playing for little kids.
Yeah, I think it's both. My parents were missionaries before I was born, and then they both worked in the church. And eventually, when they had my brother and I, they moved into like the regular world of work. But the church was a huge part of our life. My mom's dad was a missionary, and her sister was a pastor, so we would go to my aunt and uncle's church all the time, and everyone sings and plays instruments, and so yeah, a lot of that is informative to, I think, my love of like singing together and sort of communal thing. But then, like, truly, I sponged music from the backseat of my parents' car. You know, my mom was obsessed with Motown oldies. In Atlanta, the station was called Fox 97. It was the like oldies. It played all the 50s, 60s, and some 70s, and that's what we listened to. That's kind of all I knew, and it was that and like worship music. And then my dad, he and I didn't spend a lot of time together until maybe I was like in my teenage years. I feel like was when he was like, all right, you're cool enough to hang. But whenever I did ride in the car with him, like pre-teen, it was always like a random errand, right? He's like, I got to go to the auto parts store. You coming? And I was like, do I have to? And my mom's like, yes, you have to go be with your dad. Get out of the house. Stop like playing video games. And so I would go ride with him to the store for 10 minutes, and he would always have like butt rock on, like ZZ Top and Van Halen and things I just thought were awful at the time, like just harsh guitar tones and guys.
And it's called butt rock. It's called butt rock specifically because
the jeans, right? Because of the ass hugging jeans is what I always thought.
Okay. Never heard this term, but I really.
Oh, you never heard the term butt rock?
No.
Oh, well, butt rock has come. There's some arguments about what is butt rock, because I like to think butt rock is tight jean, mullet, like hair metal type thing.
Okay.
But there is an argument, and I've been on, Wikipedia looking for this, but some people think butt rock is like grunge and post-grunge because they said, oh, it's all these guys who have grown their hair down to their butt. So I think maybe butt rock is kind of all-encompassing from like Pantera to Pearl Jam to Warrant to Guns N' Roses, Any like, I think the concept is long hair, sits in their room and riffs, like real...
Yeah.
Like real Dungeons and Dragons, like, but meets the guitar type vibe.
It's a great definition. What when they were forcing you out of the house to follow your dad on house errands, what video games were they taking you away from?
Oh, so I was a Nintendo 64 kid. So I was always playing Banjo-Kazooie, Legend of Zelda, like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then if I wasn't into like the fantasy, like full blown, role playing, I was into like Tony Hawk or any sort of racing game. I loved Tony Hawk, and I also loved this game called Aggressive Inline, where it was basically Tony Hawk, but you were on blades. Yeah. But I fell in love with those games.
The cops are following you around? Yeah,
they were always getting in trouble. Like the whole point is like you're a bad boy and you're. Yeah. But yeah, I loved those games truly because of the soundtrack. Like I started LimeWire, Kazaa, uTorrent. I would go to there. I would go and download the songs I had heard. I was like, oh, I need to hear more Jimmy Eat World or more freaking Snoop Dogg or more whatever I heard on this video game. And
yeah, so
then the PlayStation came out, and then I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, I'm not a great video game guy. I'm not like a great, like all my roommates in college would do these kind of games, like like running in the crew and everyone's latching up and we got to get our paladin in there and we got to get the boss and we got to, that's not me.
A lot of World of Warcraft or League
a lot
of
Warcraft,
kind of
a lot of Diablo, a lot of all that sort of stuff that I don't understand.
Sure. What made you want to go to school to write songs?
Well, one of those Warcraft friends went to school for music business before me and realized that I didn't have any plans to go to college. And so he was like, hey, you should do this. Because I was like playing open mics and stuff in Atlanta. He's like, well, if you're going to do that, like you might as well come here and do this like vague songwriter degree. So I researched it and didn't look like there was a lot of meat to it. And I was like, perfect. I don't want to do anything. I hate school. I love socializing. I love going to class. I love hanging, love making friends. Was never great at turning stuff in. Not great at remembering assignments. Honestly, I forgot about this until this morning. So I was like, wow, this worked out perfectly in between the doctor appointments. And
so glad I texted you.
Yeah, glad you texted me, but also glad that you are a Google Calendar person because showed up in my Google Calendar all the details I needed, and I was like, this is a pro. Yeah. Because that changed my life when I got on the Google Calendar.
Yeah.
And that's in the past year. I'm 30 years old. It took me fucking forever to learn that I should have a Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Hey, am I allowed to cuss? Sorry, I just didn't.
Cuss all you want. My wife, when we first started dating, I got like really good at dating. That was what I did. The majority of my life was practice dating.
Nice.
And by the time I met my wife, I had it down to such a science that I was like, actually, I'm just going to share my Google Calendar with you, and you can put on times that we should spend together, and that way you know when I'm available, and you can tell me if it's at your place, my place. You just put it on the calendar. I'll be there.
Wow. And did she like that?
Oh, she was just like, okay, cool.
Wow. And so then you get to see how much she books. Like,
yeah.
Did she overbook?
Oh, she was booking a lot of time.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's also so intimate that you would give her all the details of. I mean, it depends on how sticky icky your Google Calendar is, but like you're like, right. I'm working. I have this meeting. I have this appointment. I got this, and this. Like,
it's very handy to not have things to hide in the relationship because, you know, we can switch phones for hours of the day and it's not actually scary. It's like she could just use my phone and
yeah. Isn't that a nice thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice to like yeah. I think that's when you know that that's the person you should marry. Is when you're like, "Oh, I don't feel like I have to lie to you about anything." Like,
yeah.
That's cool. Like
Yeah.
not even if you really are like a, you know, truly in deception mode, but even just like I'm not even scared that you know that I have a, you know, butt pimple appointment at 1 p.m. today or something. Not the appointment I had, but
yeah. They needed to puncture it before they got rid of it.
yeah.
It's the kind of video that gets sent to me on TikTok nearly 100% of the time, and I can't take it.
The pimple.
Oh, it's too much. But that's literally, it knows my weakness and it feeds it to me.
Dang, the algorithm.
It's intense.
Because you can't look away, or it.
I can't look away. I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed. It's disgusting.
Doctor, you are the algorithm. You are the base.
Yeah.
For Dr. Pimple Popper.
Exactly. So you go to school, you start writing songs. What's the process of like, dang, I love meeting people. This is cool, to like, I don't really like how this is going. I think I'm going to do it my own way.
Wow, that's a great question. I never knew. I still don't really know what I'm doing. And I have, if you ask my manager, I have a hard time setting like big picture goals. I recently just got into chess and I have such a hard time looking ahead 3 moves. Like I just get this mode. I'm like, I'm gonna take that queen. That queen is just sitting there. I need to take that. And so then I like try to take it and then I forget. They're like, oh, their horse is right there. Like, crap. I just did a queen swap. Like this is so dumb. And that's kind of like how music has gone. Like I knew I wanted to play music. I knew I loved singing. I knew I loved writing songs. I knew I liked playing live. Like my favorite thing ever is playing live. And I played in church for years, and then I moved to college and I started playing in a college band, and then started recording. But everything at college was really procedural. It's kind of like everyone's like 20 years old and they're all learning, well, you have Pro Tools and it's 128K, and then you do this and every compression, and it's got to be the mic has to be like right here, and like everything's so procedural and not romantic. And my whole life, I mean, even leaving Christianity, like I still am a romantic. I'm obsessed with feeling. I'm still obsessed with like someone giving me their Google Calendar and saying, hey, just put yourself in it. Like I'm like, oh my God. I think I just got tired of how inept I felt being someone who I knew I was talented. I knew I had something to do, something to say, but I knew I didn't fit into the realm of like play it pretty, sing it pretty. And so I was like, well, I got to figure out a way to do that. And so I just started peeling kids out of the program that I would see them make something that was like kind of nasty, or like something that was like weird. They would turn an assignment and I'd be like, that kid kind of seems kind of weird. Like they might want to be a friend of mine. They might want to hang out. And then I would just bribe them. I'd like invite them over, and it sounds bad, but I'd just like give them like booze or cigarettes or drugs that I had and be like, hey man, like, would you mind setting up the microphones and letting me be weird? And then you kind of, cause I don't really know how to work all the tools. So, and yeah, that's kind of how Medium Build started. Is I did that with like 2 or 3 friends, and I'd invite them over and be like, don't think of it like class. Think of it like not class. Like think of it like us getting drunk and you record me doing whatever on the piano. And that's how I got like the first, I don't know, 8 or 9 Medium Build songs they're not on Spotify anymore, but they all live on Bandcamp, the OG catalog. I think it all came out in 2015. I needed to know that I could make something that sucked and was nasty and fun and felt like me.
It seems like one of your great strengths is like a ton of heart. It seems to be one of the things that comes through very clearly in the music and in talking to you for 10 minutes. I feel like that's a giant strength to know how to do it the right way and then to choose to do it a different way.
Yeah.
Versus people not knowing anything and then just kind of like figuring out kind of what works. It like helps to have the standard and then to be able to reject the standard.
Yeah.
That is like a much more knowledgeable way to say no to something.
Well, I wish I had that knowledge that I like. It's not like I could execute a pop song right now, like by myself. I can't. And that was the thing, is like I didn't like being in that space. Like it's not like I'm a wonderkind that was so good at producing and was like, I'm going to reject all of my sensibilities. It's like, no, I literally couldn't make the system work for me. Like,
oh wow.
And so I was like, I have to get someone to step into left field for my shit to even work. Like, because I did try a couple times. Like I recorded an EP with this guy who actually we've circled back into working together. But back in the day, he was just so rigid. And I made this EP with him, and it was songs I loved, but we beat the shit out of them with making sure the kick was right and everything was right. And like there was no flavor. It was like boiled chicken is what it all came out as. And it all made sense, and the professors were like, good job. But like I just hated it. And I was like, I'm not going to put this out. Like I'd rather put out the demo we made drunk last week. And yeah, I think my presence in my heart is the only thing that keeps me from falling into boiled chicken water. Is like, hey, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not clean. You know, it's messy. It's very messy to do this sort of like from the heart, from the gut like thing. Cause it's like, oh, well, there's going to be bad vocal takes, or there's going to be whatever. There's going to be messed up lyrics, and there's going to be, you know, collaborators that don't like that I didn't keep the part. Like a lot of times I'll make tracks with people, and people will send really nice parts, and I'm like, hey, that's not it. Or it's kind of a hard thing to follow my gut because it is this. What is that? Like, what is your gut, right? It's like, or like what I don't know what Immanuel Kant would say is like, what's the reason, right? Like, there has to be reason, some logic to what you're doing, and like it doesn't feel logical. The feeling in my stomach sometimes, and I think that frustrates some collaborators. And I've gone through a lot of people like trying to find that kind of like union, that Google Calendar person for me.
Have you learned to find any language to help to supplement your gut? Because there's something about when you're in a relationship with someone and there's a ton of trust, and one of them makes a gut call, you just take the gut call. You don't need reasons because you trust the other person. But in some of these other ones where it's like you don't have that trust, and then you like can't articulate the reason why you're rejecting it. Like, have you been able to find additional words for like, well, it doesn't do well with my gut, and now let me try to figure out why.
That is one. That's some therapized human stuff right there, is to scan the internal and then like find the logic and find the words for it to explain. That's my therapist would be very proud of you phrasing it like that. No. The answer is fucking no. What I've gotten is I've gotten into a lot of fights, like with my friends that I make music with, because I can't explain to them what I hate about the kick drum tone that they found. And I've gotten into like me and my friend, literally, I mean, it's like some of our friendships, I think our friendship has literally taken like a 25% cut because of my inability to be like, this is it, it's done. I was like, that's not it. And he's like, what's the problem? I was like, things are too loud, things are too quiet. And then he's like, well, why don't you just mix it? You know? And then it's like, cool, okay, like it's not personal for me. I don't see the song that I hate and see the producer or the mixer and say, oh, obviously that guy is garbage because he made this and this is garbage. It's like, no, we all try. We're all painting. I call it painting, right? Like, come over, let's paint. Let's get high, let's cook, whatever. We'll, you know, like have some coffee and eat an edible and just make some things, see what happens. Like, doesn't have to be great, but it also is not keeper. Usually it's not. Like, and I that's the thing I've learned for the past 10 years is I used to think every idea I had was jelly bean magic, just like full send, like, oh my God, we just made it, let's put it out. And now I'm finally learning that like it doesn't have to feel, it can just be fun. We can cook, you can walk away. But no, I have a really hard time. Music language is so bogus. My first producer guy I was telling you about, who he's actually come back around, and he co-wrote and produced Rabbit and Corolla and another man. He was a jazz person. He went to jazz college, jazz musician, and so he had all this like jazz language in the studio, like, oh, like gotta get in the shed, bro. Like gotta hit. We need some hip cats to come lay down some hot grooves, bro. Like, oh, why don't you just slam the pads down on the one over there, my brother? And you're like, slam the pads on the one? What? That's not a word. It's like, oh, he means like play a whole note on the piano.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. I can do that. Only thing I've learned how to do is get better at saying no. I think I've gotten better at saying no, and I've gotten better at not worshiping my first draft.
That's smart. I had a really bad experience with a drummer one time who did a very similar thing where he told me like, no, he like told me his credentials prior to turning it in, which was like, I did the drums for this Justin Bieber song, and I know that this is the answer. And I like heard it, and I was like, I'm sorry, it's not the answer. And he was like, fine, then we're done. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. That's a dynamic that I should be very aware of. It's like,
Are you in LA?
Close. I'll be
Okay.
there in February.
Okay. Where's home now?
Santa Barbara, hour north.
Oh. Santa Barbara. We love Santa Barbara.
Oh, you do? Well,
Yeah. I got a friend there, and I've stayed there a couple nights, and giant raccoons, biggest raccoons I'd ever seen in Santa Barbara. I don't know if they're everywhere, but
a lot of. Were you in Isla Vista or Santa Barbara?
I don't know. Maybe I was in Isla Vista. I think I was in Santa Barbara, but it was up in the woods, so
Okay.
maybe it was Isla Vista.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a lot of trash animals because there's a lot of trash.
Human trash. Yeah.
Yeah, bad system. I mean, we only have so much time, so I'm just going through the hits of everything that interests me.
Sure.
Quitting drinking in 2018 as a choice from moving from like doing like big bar gigs with the band to like wanting to like buckle down and do it a different way. What was inciting incident? What was that choice? How did it affect you?
So, I mean, a good 10 years of drinking, like that really gives you kind of a feeling in your gut like, man, I've had a lot of bad times doing this thing, and I've had a lot of like sloppy times. Like, I think that was the thing that really started to hit was I went on my first real big tour in 2017. I was out for almost a month, and I was just like kind of drunk the whole time, but I never felt like I got too drunk. I was just like constantly drinking because that's what every night is. I'm working, but I'm at someone's Friday. Like every night I would play house concert, bar, roof, whatever, didn't matter. Someone there's like, oh my God, bro, we're so glad to have you. You got to try this craft beer here and you got to do this. And so I got really sick after that tour and I felt awful. And then, discrepancies in like my money, my relationship with partners, my relationship with music, like it would all fluctuate based on how much I was drinking or I would sometimes romanticize drinking. Like, oh my gosh, sometimes like I would come home and after work and I would sit here and drink like 3 Negronis and make a song and it was a hit. So I'm like, well, I got to do that again. And it's all bogus, man. I mean, in the shows, yeah, I mean, drunk people suck. And this is someone who I do drink again. I took 2 years off and I've reintroduced alcohol. It's still like I can't really figure out the perfect ratio, but I know alcohol is not going to fix anything. I know alcohol is not going to make me happier.
But sometimes,
yeah, like it adds joy.
yeah.
But it also is it's a trade. So like one of the last nights I actually drank in 2017, I think we were playing this huge crowd, and in Anchorage it was like 400 people, and I drank like a bottle of water and like spit it all over the front row or something. And my guitar player was like, "Bro, do not do that." And I was like, "This is what we do. This is rock." Like, he's like, "No, this is not that." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I need to check myself." And
when was that? Was that in COVID?
No. That was December 2017. So that was right before I quit. Changing myself changed the things around me. Changed our fans when we started playing like all ages shows with no booze. And then it was like, oh, well, all these old head Anchorage people that only like to come to shows because there's beer stopped coming. And I was like, hell yeah. Let's ditch every person that's too cool to not drink. And I still feel like that. I mean, like, if you have to, if you have to get drunk to come to the show,
yeah,
fuck off. Like, there's so many. I mean, I get it. I get that some people have anxiety. And in different manifests in different ways, but like check yourself, right? It's like that was me, like, and I still have to look. Like last night, I just got home from tour, so Grace and I have been kind of leaning into it and drinking wine and hanging and just bullshitting and sitting with the dogs. And last night I was like, okay, I'm not drinking. I went to the gym. It's like I'm not drinking tonight. And then it was like 10 p.m. and I was like, I have the urge to eat everything in the fridge or get as stoned as humanly possible. So I get it. I get that urge to like do something. You want to do something. You don't want to feel where you are. And I'm trying to be more present. I'm trying to feel where I am. And less alcohol helps that. Weed's fine. I use it. I kind of subsidize that feeling. I don't like smoking weed. So I eat a lot of edibles and drink a lot of, there's this high tea we have up here. Nice. I don't know what kind of edibles you guys have, but it's great. I just take like a tiny little sip of it. Keeps me on the mellow and,
keeps me slamming those pads on the one.
Yeah, dude. Hitting the skins, cat, bro.
In Give Me Back My Soul, you talk about, there's like a little reference to your relationship with psychedelics and spirituality. I'd love to hear if there is any crossover or any particular experience that is that something that you habitually do? Do you find those two going hand in hand?
Yeah, that's fun. That's a good question, Connor. I like your style. My dogs are so hungry for attention. Hi, buddy. So growing up as a Christian kid, it was like really Christianity is like is almost too big of a blanket. Like my parents were, 1990s. Hey, we love you. Go off. Go. Lay down. God, that's Brisket. She loves attention. Lay down. I love you, girl. She wants to sit up on my lap. Growing up in my parents were like 90s evangelical, like hands raised, like like party church, like rock church. We had guitars and drums and lights, and my mom was on fire for Jesus. That was like our whole thing. It was like, we're the live out loud. Like I was trying to convert kids on the playground, like, and not even on like some like winning souls. It was like, I was like, hey, do you know about hell? Like, you don't want to go there, bro. Like, you really want to go to heaven.
It's the opposite of this playground right now.
Right. Exactly. And my whole formative years were like being loud for Christ and being out loud and chasing that feeling that I had. Eventually, like in the mid 2000s, like it became really cool to like be really emotional, right? It's like I don't know if you grew up in that world, but like the Bethel, the Kim Walker voice, the like, just like we talk like this when we talk to God, and it's like only can yearn. Like there's no other emotion. Like you can't talk to God like this. You can't be curious. You can't say, "Hey, what's up, God?" No, you gotta be like, "God, like Dad, we're here, Daddy God, Abba, Father, Lord." Like we like are just so it's like, and it was like, man, it was so hyper emotional, and I loved it. I was like, I could snort that every morning. I was like, "Give me that. I want that." And so I was informed by that. That was hand in hand with my, emotion and spiritual were the same to me. And so it informed what I started writing. When I started playing my own songs, like they were often slow and emotional, which was always the most banger worship tunes were like the just the, they start playing it and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna cry, or I'm gonna start praying over somebody. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's going. And so that was kind of my whole shtick, was like 2-chord, 4/5 F G, like just emotional as hell. And
4/5 builds forever. It's this thing where it's like you want to be endlessly teased. Just go F G F G, and you're like, yes. resolve.
Yeah, never give him that C, never the one. Yeah, that's exactly, dude. Or the 4/5 6/5 4. That's the big, dun 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 dun. Like, will he ever get off that cross? Not until we play the C chord. It's like that's all the Good Friday songs. They're all the mournful 6/4 5 6/4 5 6/5 6/5 4/5, and then Sunday morning. 1/4, baby. We saving souls with this chord progression. So yeah, I came out of that world where I wanted that hyper emotional, and there's at the same time like, what was I listening to? Like Death Cab and Radiohead, and like that's emotional. Fleet Foxes, Bon Iver, like it's like it was the trend of the time was to be sparse and emotional and kind of like aloof, and so then when I like got to college and I started looking around, I was like, man, like I want to make music that is this, but I also want to make music that's like present. I wanted to take the things that I liked about sort of the sloppiness of like the sort of revival church that I had been a part of, and like take sort of that like that improv bit. And all this is working to the first time I did drugs, I was like, holy shit. Like I was like, these are amazing. These are like the fast pass to godliness. Like eat, a bag of mushrooms and all of a sudden you're in the astral planes. You eat some Molly and music feels better than it's ever felt. Like, yeah, I remember the first time I did cocaine, I was like, I think I wanted to convert this person. I was like 18. I was still in my like crossing out, but I'm pretty sure I like asked this woman's whole story and was like, I was on my way to like, being like, well, this is what I believe, and you don't have to believe it, but this is where I am. It made me feel these sort of ways, and but that song you're talking about in particular, "Give Me Back My Soul," was about right when everything got canceled. So it was like March 2020. My tour got canceled. I had recently gone through a nasty breakup, and I was starting to feel really distant from like my core friend group, and my brother was like, he could see that I wasn't right. And so he literally just handed me this bag of mushrooms. And he was like, give me my brother back.
Oh.
He's like, bring him back. I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but like, I'd like to see him again.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, okay. And so we were moving. It's an awful time to move. COVID, like it was impossible to rent a truck. It was, anyway, we were moving that last week of March into the first week of April 2020. This was when everyone was in like full panic. Like,
right.
Do we need to wear hazmat suits when we do everything? Like, how close? You don't even look at each other on the sidewalk. You like do like this thing.
Yeah.
My brother had moved all of his stuff, and I hadn't moved all my stuff. I had my bed, but the entire apartment was empty. And so I was like, hell, I'll just blast in. And I had had mushrooms before. I don't think I had really fully ever known how much to take or whatever, but I know I hated the taste, but I liked the feeling. So I took the whole bag and I put it in like a smoothie, and I just put like yogurt and fruit and peanut butter and milk and all this stuff, made this really delicious smoothie, and it masked the taste, and I drank it all. And I kind of just sat there and I like put on like a meditation. I just laid down in bed and I was like listening to Sam Harris, who's like my podcast guru, and 30 minutes later, like it was like Tron Legacy, like I just started seeing everything seemed to be on the grid, And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, oh, this is a little scary. And then all of a sudden I started feeling really warm. And all of a sudden it was not just Tron. It was like my bike was sitting in the corner of my room and it looked like it was going to come alive. And like everything was just like, and I was like, whoa, this might be the most I've ever felt on these. And then it was like not prepared for an hour later in the fetal position, crying, weeping, literally like more those things I was in the song. Like I was processing my breakup. I was processing this relationship with my bandmate that was ending. James. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you say Jesus and James together, they work as a religious thing on their own.
Yeah.
So the idea that it is like the James from the beginning, that is way more powerful. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. The James. I mean, the James I did the first, if you don't count the original OG stuff I made in Tennessee, but since I moved to Alaska, the first three albums we made, or four, yeah, so it was just like I cried and I had all this tension built up and I was avoiding it with like alcohol. You know, I had to process the end of the world. Like I really thought like, it's like, man, I'm never going to tour again. Like this shit's over. Like people are going to, you know, 1 million people are going to die tomorrow. And that was just a full panic, but it was everything. And I think mushrooms are my favorite because of that, because they call to within, like they unlock a really intimate internal piece of me that I don't feel like I always honor. Like I feel like that I have that antenna up, but I kind of try to harsh that frequency so that I don't weird people out.
Yeah. Because
coming out of the hyper spiritual, hyper emotional church, like I'm always down to get deep. I'm always ready to get, I mean, we're here, right? It's like,
right.
It didn't take long. Like I'll be at the bar and someone's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, do you believe that you have free will? You know, it's like, I am constantly wondering what my existence is and who I am and how I'm perceived and who I should be and how to be better to my partner and my dogs and my friends. And like, so those drugs for me help me be there. And it's like often better alone, where I can do some processing and some journaling and some music playing and some dancing around your room naked and, you know, all the things you want to do when you're high on drugs.
Yeah. That's, that gave me some feelings. That's got heavy feelings in it, man.
Yeah. That song is, yeah. And that song we did really well on tour. I kind of opened with it every night and, people liked it, and some people even knew it, like just based off that video. So I think that's going to be maybe the next single.
Would you be willing to play it?
Yeah, sure. Guys, now they're fighting over who can be on camera.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to crank this up a little bit and then just kind of like roll back a little. When I left you, got a tattoo, dyed my hair, lost my mind. My big brother gave me some mushrooms, ate the whole bag, baby, and I cried about Jesus, cried about James, cried about Nashville and all the people I can't change. 'Cause baby, when it comes down to it, all I really wanted was control. Now that we're done, I'm moving. Give me back my soul, give me back my soul. Give me back my soul, give me back my soul, let go. When I met you at the tap room,
I was young with big brown eyes. Got your number for the summer. I was drunk and you were nice, nice, nice. I told you about Jesus, I told you about James, I told you about all the pieces of me that I can't change. 'Cause baby, when it comes down to it, all I really wanted was control. Now that we're done, I'm moving. Give me back my soul. 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 Let go. Let go. 'Cause baby, when it comes down to it, all I really wanted was control. Now that we're done, I'm moving. Give me back my soul. 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 Give me back. Give me back. Give me back my soul. Give me back. Give me back. Give me back my soul. Let go. Let go.
Oh my. What a tune. What a tune.
Thanks, man. Hot tune.
That's a hot tune.
Yeah, let me see the chart on that one, bro. Oh, 1414, huh? Easy stuff here. I make jokes like this guy. You ever watch Twin Peaks?
No, I still need to.
It's a big investment, but the creator of Twin Peaks is this guy named David Lynch, and he wrote himself a tiny role into the TV show, and his role is that of an FBI agent who's hard of hearing, and he's from like Idaho or whatever, and so every line he says like this. Coop, I'm coming in from Bend, Oregon, Coop. Anyway, that's how Paul sounded in the studio. That to me is as a kid. Bro.
Sounds like how John Mulaney does deputy, the deputy like safety guy. We got a few last minutes. So I got a few last questions for you.
Yeah.
Either best advice you've gotten about your career or the worst advice you've gotten about your career.
The worst advice I've gotten about my career is it's not like one person said it. It's just everyone who also does music believes in that sort of like hustle culture, share more, post more, get your friends to share, pre-save. Like that's the worst advice I constantly am receiving is the social norm that we all put on ourselves of like, it's not just music, it's also a marketing hustle and it's emailing playlists and like that's the shit that keeps me up at night. Like I'll write a great song and I'll be like, that's a great song. Like, good job, Nick. And then I'll be in bed. I'm like, I didn't market it today. I didn't do any, oh boy, I should have liked and commented on more people's posts today, have my name out there. Like, oh shit, you know?
Right.
And it completely steals the joy. Whoever, I mean, I guess, I don't know, Jesus or the Rockefellers, whoever paired music and commerce together and then now we all are these little businesses.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go around as a small business. People invite me to do small business things. I'm like, I'm not a small business. I write songs. And they're like, well, you're a small business. And I was like, damn, I never wanted to look at it like that, but it is real and it is a commerce and it is like it's a part-time job for me, but enjoy the fucking music and quit posting so goddamn much. Not to you, just to anyone. I don't know. It's like to myself. I do it too. But fuck that.
Yeah. How does that speech go with your manager?
Oh man. Yeah. We have a really good relationship. Yeah. My manager is just a lovely, lovely human, and she reminds me constantly to post. She talks to me a lot about consistency and work ethic, and I say them. I don't mean to have so much mustard on that, but I do respect those things, and I want to get better. It's like kind of same thing with like my own self. It's like, oh, I should be drinking less and working out more, and I should be spending more time outside with my dogs and less time inside, like playing chess or like staring at my screen. And so she has really practical advice, but she's not like, she never pressures me to like, she's never been like, hey, I think you need to post a TikTok right now. Like she's just like, hey, like we haven't heard from you, post something, let people know what you're up. And she always lets me she encourages me to be me on the apps and stuff. And so I respect that. And there's a lot of stuff I don't know about the music industry. A lot of stuff I don't want to know. And that's why I love my manager.
How did you find this person? What else does this person do with you?
So I met her. She's in booking, and I'll leave her name out of this because she actually manages me kind of on the low. She's a booking agent by day, and I met her when Quinn won the Tiny Desk contest in 2019. We were on the road for like 3 months, and I met her through that. And so, she's in LA. She works for a cool agency. She manages a couple artists on the side, and I think managing is something she's really passionate about. Booking is something she's really great at, and she's a juggernaut. I mean, she's going to run something really badass in the next 10 or 20 years. And I'm lucky. A lot of people are like, yo, how'd you find your manager? It's like fucking luck. Like luck. And she fell in love with one of my songs, and that was it. It's like, it's one song of mine that she was absolutely obsessed with, and that was enough for her to be like, I'll help this kid.
Yeah. Which one?
Movie Stars.
Okay.
It's on Rough Boy, but it's actually an old one. I wrote and recorded several times in college trying to get it right and never did. But yeah, just an old classic despair, feeling like a sack of shit, drinking too much, wanting to die type song.
Yeah. You mentioned that music is a form of accountability for you, saying the bad thing out loud, and then other people being down for it or agreeing with it without necessarily doing the bad thing. Is that still in play?
Totally. Yeah. I have to constantly, I think I have to remind myself nowadays to put the risky lyric in. Sometimes I'll just write something that's kind of fluffy or it's too vague, and I want to remember to put the risky lyric in. But also I want to remember that I learned this. I just got off of 3 weeks of tour, and I'm learning kind of, I don't really want to always sing some of those really dark, fucked up songs. Yeah. But it is cool because I'm not there. I don't have to be there to go there, right? Yeah. Like when I wrote Fat Broke Loser or Movie Stars or, any of these sort of like despair type joints, like I was sad and I was drinking myself, to sleep every night. And sometimes when people will ask for those songs, I'm like, oh man, do I want to go there tonight? Like, do I want to take the crowd there? Like, but yeah. I see it as a net positive if I can be there and invite people into that space. It's really similar to the church thing. Like back in the day when I led worship, it was like, well, how do I get people to, it was always the goal was to get people into the throne room, into the Spirit of God, right? Invite the Spirit in, and I want that just without all the heavy dogma stuff. Like I want people to feel safe. Like I want people to forget their day when I start singing. I want people to that was something my dad told me when I was 18. He gave me really good advice. He was like, speaking of best advice, he was like, yo, none of these people have any care who you are. I was just playing open mics and playing coffee shops and bars and stuff. He's like, help them forget that they have a bill to pay, that they have a sick child, that they have, marital strife. Like he's like, you are the escape.
Yeah.
And then I realized that like that was hand in hand, like kind of what the church thing was for me, was this like beautiful escape. Like my home life was really boring and my parents were always stressed about money. And so going to church was like amazing because all we had to do was just be emotional and be present. I was like, I got that shit fucking down. I don't have to turn in any assignments. I was so good at church. Like I'd show up, unfold chairs, help paint, help feed people, help bring food, help do anything. I'd lead worship for, 5th grade to the big church, to the adults, like whatever. I didn't have to write anything. I didn't have to have any documents. I just had to be present. And I'm good at that, right? And so my dad was like, yo, just be yourself, sing your heart out, and let people feel that. And so that's kind of always the goal, right? It's just be present, be myself. I think people will come around.
It's interesting how, I mean, just performing in front of groups, but specifically within the Christian context, it's emotional, like group emotional reading is what it is. It teaches people, you get very fluent in understanding what is the feeling of the group, and is that where I would like it to be at this moment? And how can the music move it to a different place or continue what we have going?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting skill to transfer into the indie music space, because you have like bands like Matt Corby, who has that very like churchy, like organ in the back, like big jungle drums, like long notes that are like designed to like kind of help with hyperventilation a little bit, which gets you loopy. And it's fascinating to me. I enjoy talking to you. That's just a side note. Last question.
Hold on. Just, I mean, I know we got, I mean, I'm in no hurry, but I know you have stuff to do, but that is one of the best ways that I've heard someone, and I try to talk about that, but like, yeah, it is reading groups. Mm-hmm. And it's not only it's their emotional temperature. And I think that's what makes a great worship leader, or did when I was in that world. I don't know what a good worship leader is anymore, and I think it's what makes a great anybody. It makes a great restaurant manager. It makes a great fucking workout class leader. It makes a great anything. But I love that because you do like, and that was one of the hardest things on tour was I was solo for 2 weeks, and then I flew the band down from Anchorage and we played a couple of full band gigs. And I noticed that when the full band came, I lost that like power, like a little bit, because of the solo show. I can just be like, you know what? I'm not going to put the drum machine on this one. We're just going to go all natural. And then all of a sudden now everyone's quiet and they're listening, and then you can put the drum machine back on and be like, all right, now we're dancing. Like, but with the full band, everyone's like, oh, we're at a concert. Like, cool. We're at a band. Like, it's a loud band. We can talk and kind of do this thing. I was like, oh, I want that power again. I want that, like, and maybe that's maybe that's the giveaway lyric of Give You Back My Soul, is all I wanted was control, right? It's like, I crave that control. I crave that and read the room and help shape it. Yeah. Maybe that's one of the only things I do know what I want, right? I can't play chess or I can't plan my career, but I do know I want people to feel good, and I know I want them to feel what I'm feeling. So that's I guess the goal is let people know what I'm feeling and hope that they feel it too. Yeah. I love this recurring theme that you try but are not that great at chess. Oh my God. So bad. I also in 2016 was told that I lack foresight, so I took up chess to practice foresight. No. And then got so tired of losing games that I was like, all right, cool, I'm all done. Dang. Yeah, I think I've won 2 out of like 50 games that I've been into it for like a month. So I'll like go to the bathroom and come back defeated, and Grace is like, what's wrong? And I was like, I just played like a speed match. I lost. She's like, get that out of your fucking hands. Yeah. Last question for you is, any good books? Anything that you've read that has helped you, affected you, moved you in the last couple of years? Yeah, this is a great question too. I have been really into John Steinbeck lately, which, if you don't know, he's a classic American novelist, born in 1900, died in like 64 or something. It's so funny that you gave the backstory for John Steinbeck,
but you just said Quinn's first name when one is like a famous author. You're like, Quinn. Anyway, John Steinbeck. I'll tell you who John Steinbeck is.
That's true. Quinn Christopherson is the 2019 Tiny Desk winner. He's also my friend. He's an Alaskan native. He lives here. We are pals. We make music together.
Nice.
He has a beautiful career ahead of him. I just assume that everyone who's aware of me is aware of Quinn because of our entanglement.
Sure,
But yeah, no. Quinn Christopherson, if you haven't heard him, friends, slap that Google up and get to town. But no, John Steinbeck, underrated. I think mainly people it's like become like a literary assignment to read Grapes of Wrath or something. But I haven't even read Grapes of Wrath yet. I just read the past two. I read were Tortilla Flat, and before that it was Cannery Row, and those both take place in Monterey, California, which is I guess north of the Bay. Is that?
Apparently everything he writes. He's east of Eden. That's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Salinas County.
Yeah. So is that north of SF or is that
south?
South. Okay. Yeah. So he's obsessed. I mean, I guess he grew up there. Or he grew up not far from there, and he's obsessed with like middle America, working class, and he just has such this beautiful way of talking about characters. He'll introduce a character, like he'll show a character walking down the street. Like you're obsessed with this. Right now the focus is on this like character one, and character two will walk down the street and they'll say hello, and then 3 chapters later, character two is in the plot of some, he's in the thick of some nasty stuff, and you're like, oh, like that's why that guy walked by earlier, so that we wouldn't be confused when he came up. And I'm always taking notes, man. I just love how he talks about it. Makes me want to go to Monterey real bad.
It's cute. You can see otters hold hands. They just float on their backs together next to the seaweed and hold hands.
We
while the
love
waves take
that.
'em.
We have a couple places like that in the summertime. Read Cannery Row if anybody wants a little study of America in the 40s, I guess.
Well, great. I just started. The last person I talked to recommended Slouching Toward Bethlehem by Joan Didion, which my wife is incidentally reading at the same time. So I was like, all right, cool. I guess it's my time to start that. But Cannery Row seems like I did East of Eden, and it was bleak.
Oh, yeah.
A bleak tale.
Yeah. Cannery Row is all fluff. Yeah, it's about these like squad of like vaguely homeless guys who just take jobs and grift and kind of just survive. It's a real camaraderie sort of joint. Same with Tortilla Flat, same vibe. Nice. Very light. I mean, it's bleak in the way that nobody ever wins, but they always get drunk at the end of the day. I think that's kind of the first thing Steinbeck's I read was the Travels of In Search of America, Travels with Charlie. He drove around the country in 1960 with his dog in the back and like in a truck and just slept in the back of his truck. It was amazing. I can't talk about him enough, but he just has a way of humanizing people, and I think deeply the guy just likes eating a good breakfast and getting drunk, and like those are 2 things I love too. Like it's hard not to love, a good egg and English muffin and a couple pints of beer.
The proportions there are great.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, pleasure, absolute pleasure, meeting you. I will clap us out and then say more compliments to you.
Sweet. Thank you, Connor.